Well, we don't bear responsibility for a broken system, and we're doing a tremendous amount.
You have failed. You are a failure, sir. Your job, it's right there in the name, Secretary of Homeland Security, and you are not securing the homeland. Alejandro Mayorkas, the Secretary of Homeland Security, appeared on Meet the Press this weekend. And I got to give Kristen Welker a little bit of credit here. She actually stumbled into some real live journalism by asking a very important question that Alejandro Mayorkas, of course, brushed off. But you should at least see it.
You have now been in your position for 3 years, and let's talk about what's happened during those 3 years. More migrants have crossed the border illegally last year than ever before. The asylum cases backlog has more than tripled since 2019. You yourself have said that more than 85% of migrants caught crossing the border illegally are being released into the U.S. as they await their court dates. Let's just put impeachment aside for a minute. Why do you deserve to keep your job, Mr. Secretary?
Kristen, the data that you cite is a powerful example of why we need legislation to fix what everyone agrees is a broken immigration system.
Wow. First of all, kudos to her for asking the question. Why do you deserve to keep your job? You have failed. You are a failure, sir. Your job, it's right there in the name, Secretary of Homeland Security, and you are not securing the homeland. Add on to that the fact that you have lied under oath about it. Why should you keep your job? But Mayorkas just did something that I really need you to clue in on here, because they do it every single time. Every single time anyone from the Biden administration or any of their lackey apologists in the House of Representatives, the Senate, or for that matter, in the media, whenever they're challenged on the obvious fact that our border is completely wide open, there is no security there, millions of people have flooded across illegally, unvetted, we have no idea who they are and what their intentions are. Anytime you challenge them on the fact that you have left our border insecure, completely full of chaotic chaos, it's in crisis mode. Whenever you challenge them on border security, what do? They immediately say, wow, we have a broken immigration system. They pivot the question. They do it on purpose, and most journalists allow them to get away with it. You see, here's the key here. You can have a broken immigration system and still secure your border. For Mayorkas to sit up there and say, well, this is why I need new laws. I can't possibly do my job without any new laws. It's funny. Every time he's been asked about the border for the last 3 years, he hasn't said, well, it's not secure. I'd love to secure the border, but I can't, because you guys haven't passed any laws to secure the border. No, there are plenty of laws out there for border security. They were enacted and supported and enforced by Donald Trump. They were actually, enacted years ago. Donald Trump didn't pass any new laws about securing the border. He just enforced them. Mayorkas has ignored them. And by the way, he's ignored them at the behest of his boss, the President of the United States. Everybody who wants to impeach Alejandro Mayorkas over his failure to secure the border, they should probably look at his boss, because he's carrying out the exact policy Joe Biden wants. But the difference is Mayorkas has lied under oath about it, and he deserves to go. Here's a little bit more from this Meet the Press interview.
No doubt there is gridlock on Congress, but do you bear responsibility for what is happening at the border, what the president himself has called a crisis?
It certainly is a crisis, and well, we don't bear responsibility for a broken system, and we're doing a tremendous amount within that broken system. But fundamentally, Congress is the only one who can fix it.
Well, it's just not true, and you know that. And I would love for Kristen Welker to say, be specific. What is it exactly you want Congress to do here? Because the answer is pathway to citizenship. They want to give them all amnesty, and they want everybody who has come into this country illegally to have a green card and then to have citizenship so they can vote, right? That's exactly what's happening here. Everything that was in that bill that the Democrats and the Biden administration pushed for, it all ends up being a pathway to citizenship. We'll prove that to you in just a moment, because they're now using a new euphemism. Oh, no, we don't want amnesty. We don't want pathway to citizenship. We just want to be able to grant asylum. Asylum. It sounds nice, doesn't it? These are people who are in crisis. They need asylum. They need sanctuary, and we're going to provide it for them. but that translates directly into getting citizenship. We'll get to that in just a moment. First, a little bit more from Mayorkas and how boldly he lied to the media, and he's been lying to you, the American people, for years now.
Mr. Secretary, why doesn't the president just shut down the border and let the courts just try to stop him?
Well, the fact of the matter, Kristen, is that we have taken executive actions already. We continuously review what options are available to us, but those are always challenged in the courts.
Okay, so surprise, surprise, he lied again. They haven't taken any executive actions having to do with the border other than to take executive actions off the table that had been put in place by Donald Trump on the border. Any executive actions that Joe Biden and his administration has taken having to do with the border actually makes it easier for people to enter our country. Their executive actions has been to remove the Remain in Mexico policy. The executive action has been to reorient the asylum process. So instead of asking for asylum in your own country, you come here, ask for asylum, boom, you get a summons, you get to come into the country, you get a flight, you get benefits, you get health care, you get whatever you want. And, you know, you'll have your hearing for asylum in about 7 or 8 years. That's the executive action they've taken. And this whole bogus notion that, well, if we did anything like that, we'd see court action. No, they wouldn't. No, they wouldn't. Because it's their pals, actually, that they take executive action. Right? It's their pals who have taken Trump to court. Trump didn't mind being taken to court, by the way. You know, he signed executive actions. They said, well, Mr. President, this is going to get challenged in court. Good. Go ahead. Challenge it in court. And he fought those fights. If Biden wanted to shut down the border, he could have done the same thing, but he didn't. The only actions that this administration has taken that have seen challenges in court is the actions that have undermined the border. And yeah, they're seeing action in court because you've got attorneys general in Virginia and Texas and Louisiana and Missouri, Republicans who are saying, you're killing us here. We're going to sue you because your executive actions have freed up the border. Where the hell is Kristen Welker at Meet the Press to know the facts involved here and actually challenge this guy? Meanwhile, one man did have the facts at his disposal this weekend, Marco Rubio, the senator from Florida. He was on with Jake Tapper, and he was talking about this very notion I just alluded to, the fact that the asylum process is a pathway to citizenship. Watch what happens when Jake Tapper tries to fact check Marco Rubio.
The bill basically creates an asylum corps. Okay, it creates a bunch of thousands of bureaucrats, basically agents, asylum agents, that would be empowered right at the border to either allow people into the country with an immediate work permit. Today they got to wait 6 months. You give them an immediate work permit, you're going to have more people coming. That's a huge magnet. Or they have the power to immediately release them and grant them asylum.
There's more to this in a moment because, like I said, Jake Tapper is going to try to jump in and pretend that Marco Rubio is lying. But did you hear what he just said with regard to the border bill that they keep saying was, oh, I can't believe Republicans killed the border bill. Right now, if you enter this country illegally, you wait 6 months and then you get a work permit. Now, first of all, that's an outrage. You come to this country illegally, you should not be able to work, let alone wait 6 months and then be able to work. That's an outrage. So already that's a problem. But this bill that the Democrats pushed down the throats or attempted to push down the throats of Republicans that sadly James Langford and Mitch McConnell were totally happy with, and Susan Collins and Mitt Romney were totally happy with, it would have eliminated the 6-month waiting period. You enter the country illegally and boom, welcome aboard. Here's your work permit. You freaking kidding me? How many more people are going to try to come into the country if that were to be the law? Well, thankfully, though, our economy is so strong that we can sustain all these people coming in and driving down wages as brand new legal cheap labor. That's insane. But then, as you just heard, Marco Rubio said this would put them on a 5-year plan to citizenship as soon as they applied for asylum. Now, watch what happens here when Jake Tapper tries to be Mr. Smarty Pants with the smart guy glasses. This is the real-time fact-checking that only Marco Rubio has to deal with from people like Jake Tapper. Alejandro Mayorkas never gets any real-time fact-checking from Kristen Welker over there at Meet the Press. But watch the real-time fact-checking from Jake Tapper.
Which now puts them on a 5-year path to citizenship, which is what a lot of Democrats want. They want to turn a bunch of illegal immigrants into citizens, into voters, in the hopes that those people will then turn around and vote for them in future elections, grateful because they'll know who let them in. That's a huge problem. That doesn't solve the border. It makes it worse.
This doesn't provide a path to citizenship for any of these people, just to clarify. But it raises.
Yes, it does. Absolutely, it does. No, yes, it does. When you have asylum, you are on a path to citizenship. When you get asylum, you are a year away from a green card and 4 years away from citizenship. Absolutely, it does.
But you said you approved
and
of the asylum
have the power to grant you asylum. Not even a judge, a bureaucrat.
That's right. This is so critically important, and well done, Marco Rubio, for doing that. That's smarmy, obnoxious Jake Tapper. They always do it this way with the Republican. This has nothing to do with a pathway to citizenship. I want to make sure that our viewers understand the facts, because I alone have a handle on the facts. No, absolutely, that's not true. Just because Democrats told him, we took pathway to citizenship off the table, Jake Tapper believed that. He didn't read this bill. He didn't see what was in it. Marco Rubio did. They've just rebranded pathway to citizenship. See, for 20 years now, Democrats have been pushing for this. They always say, "Oh, our immigration system is broken and we've been trying forever, but those Republicans won't let us." Right, because Republicans have stopped short of giving amnesty and a pathway to citizenship, because it rewards people who have come into this country illegally and stayed in this country illegally. And it penalizes the people who are trying to follow the law, right? So Democrats continue to want amnesty and then a pathway to citizenship. Republicans ultimately say no, and we're at a standoff. So now Democrats, instead of changing their mind and changing their policy and recognizing that that's wrong, all they've done is gone through a rebranding process. They're just marketing it in a different way. Okay, fine. We won't ask for amnesty and we won't ask for a pathway to citizenship. Let's just expand our asylum policies. Well, that sounds better, doesn't it? Asylum sounds great. Who doesn't want to give people asylum who need it? Well, let's dig a little deeper into that asylum policy. In 1 year, you get a green card, and 4 years after that, you get citizenship. Maybe it's me, but that sounds a lot like amnesty and a pathway to citizenship. And Jake Tapper didn't bother to have the facts at his disposal. Good on Marco Rubio for doing it.